The awakening Kiss. Marcus Rivera never expected his archaeology career to end with him running from an alien princess. Across 3 star systems, the 28-year-old xenoarchaeologist had spent years studying ancient civilizations. But nothing prepared him for what happened in the abandoned Caltharian temple on Proxima 7. The statue stood 12 feet tall in the temple's central chamber, carved from what appeared to be living crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. The figure depicted a breathtakingly beautiful humanoid female with elongated limbs and features that seemed both alien and familiar. Ancient Caltharian symbols covered the base, which Marcus had been painstakingly translating for weeks. "The sleeping guardian awaits the touch of worthy souls," Marcus read aloud, his voice echoing in the empty chamber. His research partner, Dr. James Holloway, had returned to their ship for supplies, leaving Marcus alone with the mysterious artifact. The statue's face held an expression of peaceful slumber, lips curved in the faintest smile. Marcus found himself drawn to those features, studying the incredible craftsmanship. The ancient Caltharians had been master sculptors, but this piece transcended art. It looked alive, as if the figure might open her eyes at any moment. "Just incredible work," Marcus murmured, reaching out to trace the symbols at the statue's base. The crystal felt warm under his fingertips, humming with barely contained energy. The translation continued, "Only through the bond of hearts may she rise to defend her chosen people." Marcus stepped closer, examining the figure's face in detail. The sculptor had captured something indefinable in those closed eyes, a sense of dreams and distant memories. Without thinking, he leaned forward and pressed his lips gently to the statue's mouth, a gesture of appreciation for the ancient artist's skill. The crystal exploded with brilliant light. Marcus stumbled backward as energy coursed through the temple, ancient systems awakening after millennia of slumber. The statue's crystal surface began to shift and flow like liquid, revealing flesh beneath. The figure's eyes snapped open, blazing with inner fire as she drew her first breath in 1,000 years. She was magnificent, standing 8 feet tall with silver blue skin that seemed to glow from within. She possessed an otherworldly beauty that made Marcus's heart race. Her long white hair flowed like starlight, and when she spoke, her voice resonated with power and authority. At last, she said in perfect English, though Marcus knew she was speaking Caltharian. The translation implant in his ear worked overtime. "You have awakened me, chosen one. I am Zephyra of the Star Throne, last guardian of the Caltharian Empire." Marcus opened his mouth to explain that the kiss had been innocent, but Zephyra continued, "By ancient law, you who have awakened me with love's touch are now my bonded mate. Together, we shall restore my people's glory and reclaim our rightful place among the stars." Marcus realized his quiet academic life had just become very complicated. The hunters' pursuit. 3 days later, Marcus found himself aboard a stolen Caltharian warship, wondering how his life had spiraled so completely out of control. Zephyra piloted the ancient vessel with practiced ease, her fingers dancing across crystalline controls that responded to her touch like living things. "You're being awfully quiet, beloved," Zephyra said without turning from the navigation console. She'd insisted on calling him that, despite his repeated explanations about the accidental nature of their first kiss. "I'm processing," Marcus replied, staring out at the starfield rushing past. 3 days ago, I was a simple archaeologist. Now I'm apparently bonded to an alien princess and being hunted by something called the Crimson Syndicate." Zephyra's expression darkened at the mention of their pursuers. "The Syndicate are slavers and worse. They've been searching for Caltharian technology for decades. My awakening has drawn them like scavengers to a kill." The ship's alarm system chimed softly. 3 red dots appeared on the tactical display, closing fast on their position. Marcus recognized the sleek, predatory lines of Syndicate hunter-killers from his xenoarchaeology studies. The criminal organization had been a plague on the Outer Rim for generations. "Can we outrun them?" Marcus asked. Zephyra's smile was sharp as a blade. "My dear mate, we are aboard the Starfire's Dream, flagship of the Caltharian Third Fleet. These insects should be asking if they can outrun us." She pressed her palm to a crystalline control panel, and the ship transformed around them dormant. Weapon systems awakened with musical chimes, armor plating shifted to optimal configurations, and the engines hummed with barely contained power. Marcus felt his stomach drop as their acceleration doubled. The lead syndicate ship opened fire, energy beams lancing through space toward them. Zephyr's hands moved in an intricate pattern across the controls, and the Starfire's dream danced. Between the attacks, like a living thing, return fire from their weapons was precise and devastating. The first hunter-killer exploded in a brilliant flash. "How are you doing this?" Marcus asked, gripping his seat as they corkscrewed through a debris field. "Caltharian ships bond with their commanders," Zephyra explained, her voice calm despite the chaos around them. "The ship knows my thoughts, anticipates my needs, and through our bond, it knows yours as well." Marcus felt a strange tingling sensation, as if the ship's systems were reaching into his mind. Suddenly, he could sense the positions of their enemies, feel the flow of battle like a three-dimensional map in his consciousness. "Duck left." He shouted instinctively. Zephyra followed his guidance without question, rolling the ship just as plasma fire seared through the space they'd occupied. Her return volley caught the second hunter-killer amidships, splitting it in half. The final syndicate ship tried to flee, but Zephyra was relentless. The Starfire's dream pursued like an avenging angel, weapons locking onto the fleeing vessel. "Wait," Marcus said suddenly. "Let them go." Zephyra's hand paused over the firing control. "They will report our position to their masters." "Exactly," Marcus said, his archaeologist's mind working furiously. "We need information about what's happening in the galaxy. Who else is looking for Caltharian technology? What happened to your people's other colonies?" Zephyra studied him for a long moment, then nodded approvingly. "Wisdom to temper strength. You truly are worthy of the bond." She opened a communication channel to the fleeing ship. "Syndicate vessel," her voice carried absolute authority. "You will carry this message to your masters. The Guardians have returned. Tell them the old treaties are void, and any who threaten the innocent will face our judgment." The hunter-killer vanished into hyperspace, carrying word of their encounter. Across the galaxy, Marcus settled back in his seat, realizing that ready or not, he was now part of something much larger than himself. The ancient Enemythe space station horizon's edge hung in the void like a massive mechanical flower, its petals of metal and ceramic housing nearly 1,000,000 souls from dozens of species. Marcus had suggested they stop here to gather information about galactic politics and the current state of various civilizations. What they found was chaos. "Refugee crisis," explained Captain Torres, the station's harried human administrator. "We've got ships arriving daily, fleeing something in the outer spiral. Whole colonies abandoned. Entire species relocating closer to the galactic core." Marcus and Zephyra sat in the captain's cramped office, surrounded by holographic displays, showing refugee ship trajectories and resource allocation charts. Zephyra had disguised her appearance with a personal holofield, appearing as a tall, elegant human woman with silver hair. "What are they fleeing from?" Marcus asked. Torres activated a star chart showing the galaxy's outer rim. Entire sectors were marked in ominous red. "We call them the Devourers. They appeared about 6 months ago, consuming everything in their path. Planets, ships, entire star systems. Nothing stops them." Zephyra's disguised face paled. "Show me." The pattern of their advance, the hologram shifted, displaying the Devourer's movement across space and time. Marcus watched his bonded mate's expression grow more troubled with each passing moment. "It cannot be," she whispered. "They were sealed away eons ago. You know what these things are?" Torres asked. Zephyra dropped her disguise, revealing her true form. Torres stumbled backward, reaching for his sidearm, but Marcus raised a calming hand. "She's friendly," he assured the captain. "Zephyra, what are the Devourers? An ancient enemy." She replied, her voice heavy with dread. "The void spawn, creatures from the dark spaces between galaxies, beings of pure entropy and hunger. My people fought a war against them 10,000 years ago." The office fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Torres slowly lowered his weapon, his face grave. "Did you win?" he asked. "We thought so," Zephyra said. "The combined fleets of the Caltharian Empire and our allies managed to drive them back, seal the dimensional rifts they used to enter our reality. It cost us everything. The war shattered our civilization, scattered our people across the stars. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. But they're back. Someone has broken the seals, Zephyra confirmed. The Void Spawn have returned, and this time, there is no great alliance to stand against them. The galaxy is fractured, divided, each species fights only for itself. Torres leaned forward. What do we do? Our defenses are nothing against these things. They consumed the Nexus defense fleet like it was made of paper. Zephyra stood, her form radiating quiet determination. We do what my people did before. We fight. We unite the scattered races, forge new alliances, and stand together against the darkness. That's a nice speech, Torres said skeptically. But you're just two people against an invasion force that's already consumed half the outer rim. Marcus surprised himself by standing as well. No, we're not just two people. We're the beginning of something bigger. He looked at Zephyra, feeling the bond between them pulse with shared purpose. The Caltharians weren't the only ones who fought the Void Spawn before, were they? No. Zephyra smiled for the first time since seeing the refugee reports. There were others. Survivors, descendants of the allied races. If they still exist, they'll remember the old stories, the ancient warnings. Then we find them, Marcus declared. We rebuild the alliance. Human ingenuity, Caltharian technology, and whatever other strengths we can gather. Torres stared at them both. You're actually serious about this? Dead serious, Marcus replied. Captain, how many ships can this station defend? Maybe a few. 100 civilian vessels, Torres answered. Why? Because, Zephyra said, her voice carrying the authority of ancient royalty. This station is about to become the rallying point for the greatest alliance the galaxy has ever seen. Outside the viewport, more refugee ships limped toward the station, carrying the scattered remnants of devastated worlds. The alliance awakens 2 weeks after their meeting on Horizon's edge. Marcus found himself standing in the station's largest conference hall, facing representatives from 37 different species. The gathering looked like something from a diplomatic nightmare. Scaled saurians sat beside crystalline Vorthan entities, while gaseous nebuloids communicated through specialized translation matrices. This is impossible, muttered Ambassador Kellyan, a four-armed Rigelian whose people controlled significant shipping routes. Humans wanting to lead a galactic alliance? Your species hasn't even mastered faster-than-light travel without borrowed technology. Marcus felt the familiar sting of species-based prejudice. But Zephyra's presence beside him provided strength through their bond. She wore her full ceremonial armor now, the crystalline plates humming with ancient power. Her mere presence had convinced several wavering delegates to attend. Ambassador Kellyan raises a fair point, Marcus acknowledged, his voice carrying across the hall. Humanity is young, relatively speaking. We don't have the technological achievements of the Rigelians or the psychic abilities of the Zenthuri Collective. He activated a holographic display showing the Devourer's latest conquests. 3 more star systems had fallen in the past week. But we have something else. We have the stubborn refusal to give up when faced with impossible odds. When the rest of the galaxy sees an unstoppable force, humans see a problem that just needs the right solution. A low rumble of what might have been laughter came from the Saurian delegation. Their leader, War Chief Vorthuk, leaned forward on his massive haunches. Pretty words, soft skin. But the Void Spawn destroyed fleets that could shatter moons. What can one human and his alien mate accomplish that entire civilizations could not? Zephyra rose gracefully, her armor's glow intensifying. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. She placed her hand on Marcus's shoulder, and he felt the bond between them flare with shared purpose. The Starfire's dream hung in space outside the station, and through their connection, he could feel its systems responding to their combined will. The room's main display activated, showing the ship's weapons systems targeting a large asteroid in the system's debris field. But instead of firing conventional weapons, the ship's ancient crystalline matrix began to resonate. The asteroid didn't explode, it simply ceased to exist. Unraveled at the molecular level and absorbed into the ship's energy banks, the conference hall fell silent. That, Zephyra announced, is what one awakened Caltharian vessel can accomplish. There are 17 more such ships hidden throughout the galaxy, waiting for the right commanders to awaken them. Ambassador Kellyan's for eyes widened. 17 ships with that kind of power. 17 ships, Marcus confirmed. Crewed by volunteers from every species willing to stand against the void spawn. Human adaptability, Caltharian technology, Saurian warrior spirit, Rigelian strategic brilliance, all working together. War Chief Vorthic's massive head tilted thoughtfully. And what makes you think such cooperation is possible? Our peoples have been enemies for centuries. Because, Marcus said simply, the alternative is extinction. The void spawn don't negotiate. They don't take prisoners, and they don't leave survivors. Every petty territorial dispute, every trade war, every ancient grudge becomes meaningless when faced with beings that want to consume reality itself. He gestured to the display showing refugee statistics. Look at these numbers. The Devourers have displaced 40 billion sentient beings in 6 months. They're not slowing down. At their current rate of expansion, they'll reach the galactic core within 2 years. A nebuloid delegate pulsed with agitated colors. Even if we agree to this alliance, how do we find these hidden ships? The galaxy is vast, and the Caltharian Empire fell millennia ago. Zephyra smiled, an expression both beautiful and terrible. The ships call to those worthy of commanding them. Already, I sense 3 responding to our broadcast. One sleeps beneath the ice of Corvain 7, another drifts in the shattered nebula, and the third. She paused, her eyes focusing on something beyond the visible. The third is very close indeed. Marcus felt it too, a whisper at the edge of consciousness, somewhere on horizon's edge itself. Ancient technology was stirring to life. The question, he said, addressing the assembled delegates, is not whether we can find the ships. The question is whether you're willing to take the greatest risk in galactic history, for the chance to save everything we hold dear. One by one, the delegates began to nod their agreement. The first Victoride hidden Caltharian ship, Void's Bane, had been disguised as part of Horizon's Edge's structural framework for over 800 years. Its systems dormant until Marcus and Zephyra's bond awakened it. Now, 3 months later, Marcus commanded a fleet of 7 awakened vessels, with crews representing 19 different species. Incoming transmission from the Nexus Defense Force, announced Lieutenant Commander Sarah Voss, Marcus's human communications officer. They're requesting immediate assistance. The Devourers have broken through their perimeter. Marcus stood on the bridge of the Starfire's Dream, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders. Through his bond with Zephyra, he could sense the readiness of their fleet, 7 ancient warships crewed by volunteers who had left everything behind to fight an enemy older than recorded history. How many civilian ships are trapped in the Nexus system? He asked. Estimated 12,000 vessels, replied Zera9, their synthetic intelligence advisor. Approximately 30 million souls. The numbers were staggering. Marcus had gone from being a simple archaeologist to commanding humanity's first interstellar fleet in less than 4 months. The irony wasn't lost on him. Humans had finally achieved their dream of galactic significance, and it had taken an alien invasion to make it happen. All ships, report status, Marcus ordered. The responses came quickly. 7 ships, 7 different commanders from 7 different species, all united by desperation and the ancient Caltharian technology that bound them together. This is Captain Vorthic aboard Thunder's Edge. Saurian Marines ready for boarding. Operations, Commander Zelka of the Crystal Wind. Vorthan energy matrices at full power. Lieutenant Thex commanding Star Runner. Rigelian tactical computers online. Marcus felt pride swell in his chest. These beings had overcome generations of mistrust and prejudice to serve under human command, drawn by humanity's stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Zephyra, he said, turning to his bonded mate at the navigation station. What's our tactical situation? 3 void-spawn dreadnoughts and approximately 50 smaller vessels, she replied, her fingers dancing across crystalline controls. They're using the civilian ships as a barrier, preventing the defense force from using heavy weapons. It was a classic Devour tactic. Use the enemy's compassion against them. Most species would be paralyzed by the moral complexity. But Marcus had spent months studying human military history with his new allies. Then we don't use heavy weapons, he decided. We use precision and audacity. All ships, prepare for Operation Lightning Strike. The plan was insane. By conventional standards, 7 ships against 53 enemies, with 30 million civilians caught in the crossfire. But Marcus had learned that sometimes the impossible was just another word for untested. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace directly into the heart of the battle. The Starfire's Dream led the charge, its ancient weapons carving through space with surgical precision. Each shot was perfectly aimed, disabling Devour ships without risking civilian casualties. Behind them, the other 6 vessels executed a battle plan that combined human tactical innovation with alien capabilities. Captain Vorthek's Saurians used their ship's boarding pods to capture enemy vessels intact, while Commander Zelka's Vorthan energy manipulation allowed them to redirect Devour weapons back at their own forces. Civilian evacuation corridor is open, reported Lieutenant Commander Voss. Refugee ships are beginning to retreat. Marcus watched the tactical display as thousands of civilian vessels fled to safety. Protected by his fleet's desperate gambit, the Void Spawn were adapting, focusing their fire on the 7 Caltharian ships. But the ancient vessel's defenses held firm. Flagship to all vessels, Marcus announced. Phase 2 begins now. The 7 ships suddenly scattered, each following a different vector that confused the enemy formation. It looked like a retreat. But Marcus's plan was far more audacious. Each ship targeted one of the 3 devoured dreadnoughts simultaneously. The Starfire's Dream dove straight toward the largest enemy vessel, weapons blazing. Through his bond with Zephyra, Marcus felt the ship's ancient AI awakening fully for the first time in millennia. The crystalline matrix that powered their vessel began to sing with harmonic frequencies that made reality itself tremble. Now, Marcus shouted. All 7 Caltharian ships fired simultaneously, their combined energy output focused through quantum entanglement fields onto the 3 dreadnoughts. The ancient weapons didn't just destroy the enemy vessels, they unmade them, breaking the bonds that held their matter together and scattering their essence across dimensional barriers. The remaining Devourer ships fled in apparent panic, something no one had ever witnessed before. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Voss's voice was filled with awe. We're receiving congratulations from every defense force in the sector, and we're getting volunteer applications from 15 more species. Marcus looked out at the stars, where 30 million beings owed their lives to an alliance that shouldn't have been possible. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy at last, not as conquerors or subjects, but as the stubborn species that refused to let hope die in the face of cosmic horror. Set course for the next engagement, he ordered. The war is just beginning.